Who is Grotowski? For theatre professionals all over the world, this Polish name is a magic name, because since Stanislavski and Brecht, no one has exerted a greater influence. He is known as a superb teacher of actors, and as a pioneer who has shaken all existing forms. He is that somewhat forbidding figure, a prophet. But for his friends, it is quite different. The Grotowski we know is someone in whom love combines with intelligence, in whom the purity of his aims is more important than their theory. For Grotowski, theatre is not a matter of art. It's not a matter of plays, productions, performances. Theatre is something else. Theatre is an ancient and basic instrument that helps us with one drama only, the drama of our existence, and helps us to find our way towards the source of what we are.
I was born in city Rzeszów in 1933 in the house of my great parents, but after my family, that it is my father, my mother, my brother and myself, we have moving to the more east area of Poland. And in 1939, when the World War started, it was some kind of the total destruction of the familial life. The father was going into the war as the soldier, as the Polish officer, and I have never seen him after war.
When Grotowski was 8 years old, he lived for 4 wartime years in the little Polish village of Nieniadówka. One day, quite recently, he returned to this village, to the source of so much in himself, and we follow him there, as he himself tries to discover who is Grotowski.
So, here, from the town when I was born, Rzeszów is 20 kilometers in this direction. And I arrived here with my mother and my brother in 40, without having nothing, just with the empty hands, without the money, in the very big poverty. And here I was born in some way the second time in this village. All essential motives in my life started here. Before it was the destruction, after it was something other. I started my life inside the peasant family. In this place was 2 very important experiences for me in my life. In this place it was not this house, this, what is the name? Grenier.
Barn.
But it was something as a small place for the pigs, and it was possible to go in some place up of this and to be hidden. So one day I have the very strong and very non at all positive conflict with the old priest in the school, old Catholic priest. It was very brutal from his part, and I have the confused memory that it was about the problem of the gospel. I don't know exactly why. It was clear that I was not gentle, but anyway, I wanted to read the Gospels, and he refused. Anyway, what I am sure that when I left the school, the young assistant of priest, it was vicary in Polish, that it is the young priest which is the assistant. He asked me, he looked for me, and he go very close, near, and gave me the small book in the brown cover, and said that the old priest should never know that he gives me this. And I should to read this secretly. So I think it was very important experience to read the Gospels not as the official institutional lecture, but just opposite, as something in conspiracy. I was going into this high place, up of the place of the pigs, and I opened this book, and it was the beginning of the story of somebody very strange, Jesus, which was for me very human. And the person, for me, it was not the image of the God or something like this, it was the image of the friend. First, it was the Catholic background in the family very deeply, but in the same time it was not at all the fanatism. One day, in the time of the war, my mother was walking from Nienadówka, the village when we was, to Rzeszów. It was 20 kilometers. She was walking just to find some books. And she found the book, The Search of Secret India, of Branton, in Polish translation. In this book, it was the description of the very particular man living in Arunachala mountain, Ramana, Sri Ramana, or Ramana Maharishi, not the same as Maharishi of Beatles. Who had in some way the common, as my mother, attitude about the traditions. So he said it's really no matter in what way you arrived, but you should basically ask yourself, who I am, what is before your eye? Before I, who I am, what is before? I read this book, it was when I had about 8 or 9. I was very short, I had the temperature in the night, because it was the answer to something very strong. Before I make it some kind of the particular, difficult for description, rituals completely invited by me, which was in some moment connected with Christianity, in some moment connected with one particular tree in the area. But it was something around which was not habitual and which was as my strange aspect. And with this book, it started to be obvious that it is something normal. In some places, the people know something about, and probably in the different places they know, and it can be connected with each tradition. So it was a crucial point for me. No. We are in the mysterious world, and something is flowing from the middle as from the source. It is quotation from Mickiewicz. It flows from the middle as from the source. It is something which is from inside us, which is maybe impossible to define. It is not myself. He said, Mickiewicz said, from God. It is not myself. It is not myself in the meaning of this ego of my human individual shape. It is something as for Jung the self, for example, in the Jungian meaning, or Atman in India. But around it is, we have the senses and they are the objects of the senses. The senses and the objects of the senses is this mysterious world which is around. This connection. It was something not at all, it was manipulated by myself when I was the small child, by some kind of particular ambitions to be some kind of priest, to be some kind of magician, it was very strange, this all. But with this book, all this taken immediately, all this not still clear for me, something which was moving, which was asking. They take it some kind of the natural context, that it exists. I myśmy kiedyś z koniem poszli, z Jaśkiem i siedliśmy na te konie i koń poniósł, ja uderzyłem w tą żertkę tu i spadłem i straciłem przytomność. Before the different traditions, it is some kind of relationship which we discover after. For example, it is a very old tradition, which is from some people it is Christian tradition, for other it is Gnostic tradition, because of the confusion what is the true origin of some transmission or texts. But it is a very particular expression, the movement which is the repose. Le mouvement qui est le repos. The movement which is the repose. The same expression you can find in the old Tibetan texts of secret yoga. The same absolutely. We have this in the very old transmission of Coptic text from the beginning, probably from the 2nd century or 1st century. The movement which is the repose, it is something which is connected with this lying Buddha, which was observed by my mother very precisely, that in some way we can be moving, we can move, we can walking, we can making many things, we can making the simple actions as the physical actions, and in the same time be inside in some way, be psychologically if you want, or be by the passions in some way, not by the will, by the passions, lying down as the sculpture of the Buddha, just seeing in the very deep repose. Outside it is the movement, inside it is the repose, as the repose of the sleep without dream. So without the confabulations which we are still doing in the life, speaking to myself. This both activity and repose, it is possible to be in the same time, and all essential of what now is calling us some kind of public searching in this area, theater of sources, is directly connected with this. To be in action, to be in movement, to be living with our body, to be involved in the perception by our senses and their objects, which is the normal, habitual mother life, living mother world, living world around us, or what we feel as the world around us. But in the same time, it is something flowing from the middle, as from the source, and when we are just as lying down, as is the very deep sleep without confabulation, so without dreams, but completely awake in our action, it appears. Because really, it's not the matter to know why it is needed, because when we enter in this kind of particular technique or work on ourselves, we discover that it is something very important. And especially, we discover this in our time, in this period of the confusion, of be still in the hurry, and when the life is broken in this or other way, because we are used just, still do something, still make something, which is nothing to us really. Always the social game, with the exception of the particular historical moments when by some kind of community, as in all difficult historical moment in my country, it was the very strong feeling of community. I feel this same feeling in each important moment. But out of these particular moments, we still start to be in some life which is just the fragmentation, without the true meaning, just to produce something as the social image For the others, still this game, still, and we are older and older, and no meaning of this life, no sense. If you are believing in some religion in the very traditional way, if it is for you possible, it can be in this. But if you are involved in the other kind of education or possibilities or work or something as this, you've forgotten this. You can have the formal appartenance, but you've forgotten this, and you are still in some kind of the machine. And in this life which we have, in this reality, we should to find this meaning, fulfillment, some kind of the original joy, original happiness, which is our property, but we lose this just. It is in us, and we lose this. It was given to us, but we lose this. We lose this. So I think that for many people which are in the active life, particularly active life, in some way particularly modern life, as it is my case, it is something organic and natural. This looking for the original, for the first, for the primar, for the true, which have not the practical utilization for making the money, for example, which have completely other purposes.